Senator Kelly. The gentlewoman from Indiana.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for holding this hearing. It's a very important issue, and I'll be honest with you, my exposure to AI was very limited, and then my young daughter suggested me on some of the projects to use ChatGPT, and I was actually very interested to see how many issues that it can help you and how many issues is analyzing big sets of garbage data, especially if you talk about fiscal issues, since we talk so much garbage, so it's garbage in, garbage out. So there is a data quality problem in some of the issues, and you really need to do it. So I think it was my interest in observations. But I wanted to ask you a few questions, what is really, and I think, I truly believe there is enormous opportunity to improve productivity with AI. And I think there is enormous opportunities, but opportunities come with potential risks. And one of the risks I see that we have more and more larger companies with more resources to be able to utilize a lot of issues. We give more subsidy to larger companies, and smaller businesses struggling more and more. So from your perspective, to compete in these markets, more subsidies were passed, they're accessible only to very few, so we have oligopoly problem in a lot of markets now. So what do you think from your perspective to make markets more competitive and work in AI be more accessible to more, competition? What do you think that, maybe Mr. Reinhart, you can answer for, and then I have a few other questions. What do you think a legal framework that we need to address as Congress? What kind of laws related to data, related to consumer protection, maybe related to some other areas, and what is available that we also have smaller businesses to be able to compete in these markets, not only larger businesses with more resources? Maybe Mr. Reinhart, you can be first.
I think that what's interesting about AI is that it flips some of those normal oligopoly assumptions. That in fact, what we're seeing is some of these most advanced models are coming from very narrow teams. So as much as I think we should focus specifically. We've talked a little bit about R&D tax credits, how those can be important. But I think fundamentally, what's unique about AI is that it really does change the market, and that new players can get in a way that they never have been able to before. So I think that what I would suggest is that a lot of companies need clarity, right? There's, especially in financial spaces, there's kind of uncertainty when it comes to, for example, the definition of AI. There's a whole bunch of little things that probably need to be dealt with to ensure clarity when it comes to the legal frameworks. But fundamentally, I think what's interesting and new and important about AI is that it really does change the dynamics, that small players can get into the market in a very major way, and we've seen this. And I really think that that's what's great and innovative about this new technology.
And then maybe, Mr. Demasi and Bird, maybe you can follow up. You're business people, right? So you tell me, what are your perspective? Is there some legal framework issue we need to address that makes sure that we have competitive? Because government need to protect your rights to life, liberty, and property. And we haven't done the greatest job doing that. And then you create a framework for competition. This is what you really to do. Now decide winners and losers, who get subsidies, who get credits, who gets all of this. And we give a lot of subsidies, and usually they don't equally, spread. And that's why create more distortion on the market. So I wanted to see if you have some other things. And another question, maybe both of you can mention, how we can make sure that our younger generation, which is really probably much better than we are in some ways, but in some ways is not, because they really rely so much on technology, have a proper skills that AI actually improve productivity, not actually becoming something that replaced and they become not capable to do something. Maybe you can both add something to that.
Sure, I'll take a crack at that. I'm in the quantum computing business, and quantum computing, we should think about as really the final frontier of the computing revolution that's been going for 80 years. We're an applied science company, fundamentally. So I always like to say that we're not focused on helping kids cheat on their homework, right? And so, we're focused on solving unsolvable problems for classical GPUs. And so the great thing about our company and industry is everything we're doing is creating jobs. There are no jobs today applied against problems that take a century to solve with a GPU data center, or take 1 billion years with a GPU data center. And so every time we advance our machines, we're making these problems accessible, and we're creating new industries. The government, this administration has done a fantastic job of obviously creating an environment for INQ to flourish. We were a venture-backed company before we were public, and so obviously we're big believers in the free market. and price mechanisms that, if you have something compelling, capital flows. To answer your question on education, I'm a physicist originally, and I can remember when I went to Cambridge University how much quantum mechanics was on the curriculum in the 90s versus complete lack of it in prior generations in the 60s and 70s. There's a lot of quantum that has correctly made its way into high schools, even maybe middle schools, and certainly undergraduate courses around the world. And so that free market mechanism is doing a good job of getting people forward-looking in how they're learning and being trained. The last thing I will say is, INQ in the United States government at all levels, state, federal, local, has a tremendous opportunity to make us the standard effectively that wins. And we need to build the application and software layer. And so I would echo some of Mr. Reinhardt's comments around the depth that needs to come from specific applications, specific verticals. Building those on our quantum computers gives us the greatest opportunity to create value, grow the economy, create jobs, and of course, lead the world.
My time has expired. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.